Welcome to a Friday Reads, where I talk about what I've read, what I'm reading, what I hope to get to next, and I'm still a little slumpy, but I have finished 2 books. So, and I think I've pivoted appropriately to at least not get worse. We'll see. I've made some TV decisions that might make it worse, but I don't really care. I'm just going with what feels good. So let's start with I finished The Widows of Malabar Hill. Things I've learned since I last chatted about this book is I originally, when I picked it up, I thought it was written by an author who grew up in India. That is not the case. She's a part of the diaspora. No issue in being a part of a diaspora when you write a work in a place. But it was like, it definitely changes sometimes how a book feels. Like, it felt very off to me. But it's also because this is like, sort of a cozy murder mystery. I think it kind of is, but it's also like way longer and oddly paced compared to kind of your standard cozy mystery books. Because I've read a few. Like, a couple years ago, I did actually a cozy mystery vlog where I read a bunch, and they're usually like at most 300 pages. This is much longer than that. And like the murder happens like very early. In this book, the murder happens like halfway through. And this is also like, it has a very fun setting, 1920s Bombay, and we are using a character that's heavily inspired by a real-life individual. Obviously, I think a lot of creative licenses are taken here, but this was the first solicitor woman in India who I think, like, until she was 90, wasn't actually officially considered a lawyer, but she had all the training. It was just who was allowed to take the bar exam. So yeah, but it's kind of your standard whole, like, this person isn't like an investigator, but ends up in a place where she gets to witness the crime. Or not witness the crime, but the aftermath, and she gets to keep gathering the data and, like, kind of sort of solve the mystery, but she doesn't really know what she's doing in that regard. Like, she knows what she's doing in, like, her job. And it has a lot of backstory that I actually really liked her backstory. It felt like a historical fiction plus a cozy murder mystery together. That's how I felt. And yeah, it was fine, and it comes with that, so like, it reminds me of historical fictions like Lessons in Chemistry, which I don't dislike. It's just, there's a lot of suspension of disbelief because it just doesn't feel grounded in character work. Like, the characters can typically read really modern, and that's not like a bad thing, and that's not to say that people didn't have modern ideas. It's just like the vocabulary's different. So I think that happens here with Praveen. Like, Praveen, it's just like a very confusing character to follow in the time period. So yeah, and like, I learned some things. It also doesn't quite have like the cultural focus that I like when I'm going to a different place, but that's not like important for a cozy murder mystery. Like, and by the nature of this plot where she is like, the reason she's able to be in on it is she's like the only female lawyer, so she can actually talk to these widows who, I forget the word for it, but as a part of their religion, they don't engage with men. And especially because they are mourning, they are not engaging with men, so they can only talk to this female lawyer. She's the only one. And the murder actually happens, I think, in their part of the house. So, like, that's how it kind of comes to be. But it's just, I don't know, Praveen's very interesting individual. She is both very smart and very naive. And, like, I think part of that is the genre. I think part of that is that it was written in 2018. So, but I hear the 5th book just came out. I think it's a Bollywood-themed one. It was fun talking about it at the book club because I think half the book club does not read this genre and the other half does. And it was just really interesting seeing what people did and didn't like because of some of the things that just kind of come with the genre and stuff like that. Like, a scene that one of my friends really disliked was later in the book where, like, something dangerous, but like fake dangerous, happens to our main character. Because again, it's a cozy mystery. And she's like, why did that even happen? It doesn't even further the plot. And I'm like, yeah, because that just kind of happens in cozy mysteries, right? And like, I don't know if I really like that. I don't read cozy mysteries, kind of because like the formula isn't my bread and butter. So yeah, it was interesting. I'm not going to read more in that series, but I had an okay time. I also finished The Red Winter. And gosh, like, what do I think of this book? What does come to mind? I think that it wasn't necessarily me that was having like a bad time. I think this just isn't my type of thing because it was incredibly plot focused. I really do think the world building is quite cool. I think there was a lot of potential in me liking this main character, Sebastian, but I never felt this connection to Sebastian and his team and what he was going through. And I think that's just a case-by-case basis. You could read this and, like, really be invested in who he is. I was hoping to be more invested, kind of like I was with Geralt in, like, the Witcher series, where it's like, I don't know, there were just, like, things that really humanized him to me, and that just didn't kind of come through here with the writing, and I don't really know why. And although there are a lot of, like, interpersonal moments, I never really felt the connections between the characters, and it was never focused on the relationship. And, you know, like, I think this will be fun to read in the fall. If you're someone who wants, like, an atmospheric, kind of darker monster tale with some quippiness, I think this is a good standalone for that time of year. It was good for me, but not great. I think that's really where I land. And yeah, and the audiobook's fun. I think the audiobook's fun. I don't think the footnotes are always necessary, and the reason I say that is because when you listen to the book, the footnotes kind of almost just feel like parentheses or sentences that are just in the prose. I feel like a footnote should usually actually be like an aside. And I don't think that just always happened here, so it kind of felt more of like a gimmick than like some of my favorite footnote usages. But they aren't bad. They aren't bad footnotes. They weren't distracting either. They're not like super long or anything like that. So yeah, I read it. Now, what am I reading? So for my audiobook, I have started Labyrinth's Heart by M.A. Carrick, the third book in The Rook and the Rose, because I simply need something that I find joyful and have fun with, and I'm already so happy. I forgot, I didn't forget, but I also forgot, there's, at the start of this book, like our first chapter, not the prologue, because every book's had a prologue. We had a Ren prologue, then a Vargo prologue, then a Grey prologue, because if you have to pick 3 main characters, those are our 3-ish. And so, like, you know, we get to chapter 1, and, like, already, like, a really big thing happens that you're like, wow, I never thought that we would actually get this moment, and it's just really funny. I'm excited for the competition. I just love being with these people and having their dynamics. It's just very comfortable. The audiobook quality is fantastic for me. And that's kind of what I need right now on my commutes or when I have chores to do, because it's really hard for me right now to motivate myself to do anything. I don't know what it is this summer, but when I have the energy to go to work and get my job done, and that is about it. So, you know, I'm trying not to push against that too much, but I'm also trying to find things that make me happy. That was like my main goal in my next book, and I do think this one does. And then I decided like maybe a fast-paced book and a short book would be a good next physical read, and I knew I wouldn't have an audiobook for this, and I was right. This has actually been quite good for me so far, and that is the Andromeda Strain by Michael Crichton. I don't know if this is his debut. It's early in his, like, bibliography. So, like, I think Jurassic Park, he wrote late 80s, early 90s. This is 1969, okay? And it's really cool. Like, this is my favorite part about reading older sci-fi, is this is written, and, like, the idea he has is, what if a contagion comes from outer space when, like, we go to the moon or something? And how would we handle that? And we haven't been, like, in our real world, we haven't been to the moon yet when he's written this. So I really enjoy when that type of historical context comes in. It's basically written as, like, a document. So, like, the front of this, the first page, is pretending like this is, like, a file of a document of an actual event you've been given. So there's some slight mixed media elements. I think you can buy the audiobook, but my library didn't have it, so I didn't even go there because also, like I said, there's going to be moments where you have things like this, and, like, that's going to sound awful in an audiobook. And it does, like, what I remember from Jurassic Park, which I have read by Michael Crichton, and I do like, I just don't like love, is he really does ground it in what is known about science at the time. Like, I teach microbiology. This is a microbiology-focused book. And he's really, like, it makes a lot of sense what is happening, what he's doing. And when things don't make sense, it's, like, really funny. And I can tell he knows that, too. Like, this book, I believe, is majority going to take place in a facility that's supposed to have all of these protections against contagion spread. And, like, as a part of that, there needs to be a way to destroy this building just in case with, like, a nuclear bomb. And how they decide who gets to have that decision is so funny. Like, I was cackling. Like, on one hand, they prove it must be a man who makes this decision. Like, the data shows that the single man is better. But then on the flip side, when they have data that shows, like, a janitor would make the better decision than a general, they're like, but maybe we should... Context is key. And I'm just like, that is so funny. So, I mean, I'm really enjoying this in terms of, like, classic science fiction. It's not, like, been scary, but it's been unsettling. We're definitely ramping up. Like, we know it's a 5-day situation. We know things are not going well. We know it's based on incompetence and people not doing their roles. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's pretty short. It reads really easy. So I think I've made the right call with that. What am I going to do next? I don't know, because I have made decisions. First of all, I'm rewatching My Adventures with Superman. Because season 3 has started, and I love My Adventures with Superman. I rewatched season 1 with my sibling a few weekends ago, and it's just a delightful show. It's a delightful time. Like, I love it because those characters are so great. It's the same animation team. I don't know if it's the same. I don't think it's the same writing team. It's the same animation team as Avatar, The Last Airbender. And just like how Clark is written, how Lois is written, how Jimmy is written, how the everyone is amazing. I love it so far. Like, the issues in this season 2, are very emotional and interpersonal, and you feel it. Like, Clark is so at a loss. He doesn't know who he is, and he's like trying to have faith in his friends and help them out, and they're also scared because they don't know things. And like, we meet Kara in this season. It's so good. Also, Ryan and I have been watching Silo. We're on season 2. I'm enjoying the show. I think it's a well done sci-fi thriller show. I have some real questions about why I don't think the plot of the show happens if people don't do XYZ, and I really don't know why people do XYZ. And I'm waiting in season 2 patiently to see if someone will give me some half-baked answer, or if it's just one of those things where, oh no, this just had to happen, so we had a plot. And that is fine. I just don't like when it's that, like, obvious to me that that's happening, but that's, like, okay. I don't think I really have interest in reading the books. I know there's a trilogy for it. I think this is definitely a better sci-fi as a TV show for me. And then my other problem, maybe not a problem, I think it's going to bring me a good amount of joy. And again, leaning on joy. I love the show Jane the Virgin. I've talked about it on the channel a few years ago, and it's currently not on any streaming service. And, you know, I caved, and I now have access. I paid money to get access, and I just rewatched the first episode, and it's well-paced. It was made for cable TV, so it's like 42-minute episodes, well-paced. I love the narrator. Like, her father is my father. Like, I don't know. I have a really good time as a Venezuelan watching it. It's so silly. It's so over the top. But I enjoy it, you know? It's one of my problematic comfort shows, and I just have to accept that. So yeah, that's something else I'm watching while I'm crocheting when I have the motivation. Like, sometimes I haven't even had the motivation for TV lately. I've just been, like, staring off into space. So yeah, we'll see. But that's what's happening. That's my Friday Reads update. What are you reading, doing, or watching? I don't know which movies I'm going to see next. Like, I kind of want to see Toy Story 5. And I also know Supergirl's coming out soon. I think Spider-Man comes out later. And then there's The Odyssey. Like, there's just so much that I almost feel paralyzed. So we'll see what I end up going to see and when. Because my in-laws are also going to be in town, which means next Friday Reads might be interesting. Because I don't know when I'm going to film that one. So we'll see. Like, I'm going to film it, but I'm also bulk filming a little bit so that when they're in town, I don't have to, like, awkwardly go into this room and be like, I'm filming for a while, peace, you know? Anyways, if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, leave something that makes you think of a bacteria or a virus. We might have those things, but you have to do a microscope. You can also do something from outer space. I don't really care. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.